If you receive a notice from the Social Security Administration this month, it is extremely important that you do not ignore it or set it aside for later. For many seniors, retirees, and people living with disabilities, these letters are not routine paperwork. They often contain information that directly affects your January payments, your benefit amount for the new year, and even your eligibility for certain programs. Right now, millions of Americans are entering a new benefit cycle, and the SSA is actively sending notices to explain changes tied to cost of living adjustments, income reviews, Medicare deductions, and payment schedules. What you do after reading that notice can shape your entire financial situation for January and beyond. Many people assume that an SSA letter is only informational and does not require action. That assumption can be costly. Some notices are simply updates, but others are warnings, confirmations, or requests that must be handled quickly. January is not just another month in the Social Security system. It marks the beginning of new payment amounts, new Medicare premiums, and updated income thresholds. If there is an issue in your record now, it can delay payments, reduce benefits, or cause unexpected deductions just when many seniors are already struggling with higher living costs. One of the most common reasons the SSA sends notices in late December or early January is the annual adjustment to benefits. Each year, Social Security payments are recalculated to reflect cost of living changes. While many people focus on the increase itself, fewer understand that these adjustments can trigger reviews or corrections. If the SSA believes there is a mismatch in your income information, household status, or benefit category, they will notify you before or during the January payment cycle. Ignoring that notice does not make the issue disappear. It allows the system to move forward without your input, which often leads to automatic decisions that may not be in your favor. Another major reason these notices matter is Medicare. For most Social Security recipients, Medicare Part B premiums are automatically deducted from monthly benefits. At the start of a new year, those premiums often change. Your SSA notice may explain a higher deduction, a different withholding amount, or a change in how premiums are applied. Many seniors are shocked in January when their deposit is smaller than expected. In most cases, the explanation was already mailed weeks earlier. The letter is not just a courtesy. It is the official record of why your payment changed. There are also notices related to Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. SSI recipients are especially affected by January changes because eligibility and payment amounts are closely tied to income, living arrangements, and resources. Even small changes reported or discovered by the SSA can affect your January payment. A notice may explain an adjustment, a temporary reduction, or a request for verification. If the SSA does not receive a response in time, payments can be reduced or paused until the issue is resolved. For someone living on a fixed income, even one disrupted payment can cause serious hardship. Stimulus-related updates are another area where confusion is common. While broad stimulus programs are not always active, the SSA still handles special payments, credits, and retroactive adjustments connected to past relief measures. Some notices explain delayed payments, corrections, or eligibility confirmations. Others address tax-related reporting that can affect future assistance. Seniors often assume stimulus matters are finished, but administrative follow-ups can continue for months or even years. If a notice mentions a review or adjustment, it usually means the SSA is finalizing records that impact your ongoing benefits. Pensions and other income sources also play a role. The SSA regularly compares Social Security records with information from pensions, employers, and federal databases. If your pension amount changed, or if the SSA believes it did, you may receive a notice asking for clarification. January is a common time for these reviews because many pensions also adjust benefits at the start of the year. If the SSA believes your total income has changed, it can affect taxation, SSI eligibility, or Medicare-related assistance programs. Responding accurately and promptly helps ensure your benefits are calculated correctly. It is important to understand that an SSA notice does not always mean something is wrong. In many cases, it simply explains what is happening. However, even informational notices contain details you need to know. They outline your new payment amount, the date you should expect your deposit, and any deductions that will apply. These details help you plan your budget, avoid overdrafts, and prepare for expenses like rent, utilities, and medical costs. Skipping this information can leave you unprepared for changes that hit your bank account without warning. Many seniors feel overwhelmed by official letters and delay opening them because they fear bad news or do not understand the language used. That reaction is understandable, but it can be harmful. SSA notices are time sensitive. Some include deadlines to respond, appeal, or provide information. Missing those deadlines can limit your options later. Even if you disagree with a decision, your ability to challenge it depends on responding within the allowed time frame. January is already a stressful month financially, and missed deadlines only add to that stress. Another key issue involves overpayments and underpayments. Sometimes the SSA discovers that a person was paid too much or too little in the past. Notices about these issues often arrive before or during January. An overpayment notice may explain that the SSA plans to recover money by reducing future payments. An underpayment notice may explain a lump sum or adjustment. Either way, understanding what the notice says allows you to prepare and, if necessary, request reconsideration or a different repayment arrangement. January also brings changes to income thresholds for programs that help seniors with healthcare costs, prescriptions, and utilities. While these programs may not be run directly by the SSA, eligibility is often tied to Social Security data. A notice may confirm information that is shared with other agencies. Errors or outdated details can affect your access to assistance. Reviewing and correcting information early in the year helps protect your eligibility across multiple programs. At its core, an SSA notice is about communication. It is how the system tells you what it believes is happening with your benefits. If that information is correct, keeping the letter for your records is enough. If something is wrong or unclear, the notice is your chance to speak up. Ignoring it means letting the system decide for you. For seniors who depend on Social Security as their primary or only source of income, that is a risk worth avoiding. In the next part of this video, we will walk through exactly what to do when an SSA notice arrives, how to read it carefully, how it can affect your January payment in practical terms, and how to protect yourself from delays, reductions, and unnecessary stress. Understanding these steps can make a real difference in how smoothly your new year begins. When an SSA notice arrives, the most important thing you can do is read it carefully from beginning to end, even if it looks routine at first glance. These letters are written in formal language, but every paragraph serves a purpose. Somewhere in that notice, the SSA is explaining what it believes is true about your benefits as the new year begins. That belief shapes how much money you receive, when you receive it, and what deductions apply. January payments are calculated using information already on file, so correcting mistakes after the fact can take time. Acting early gives you the strongest chance to prevent problems before they affect your bank account. Start by checking the basics. Look closely at your name, address, and benefit type. Errors in personal information may seem minor, but they can cause delays or misdirected payments. If your address is outdated, future notices may never reach you, and missing communication is one of the most common reasons issues spiral out of control. January is when many seniors rely on precise timing to pay bills, and something as simple as an address error can disrupt that balance. Next, focus on the payment information in the notice. The SSA usually states your new monthly amount, the effective date, and any deductions that apply. Compare this information with what you expected to receive. If your payment is higher, confirm that the increase makes sense based on cost of living changes or adjustments you were told about earlier. If your payment is lower, do not assume it is a mistake, but do not ignore it either. Lower payments are often tied to Medicare premium changes, income reviews, or corrections to previous calculations. Understanding the reason allows you to plan and, if necessary, respond. Many seniors are surprised by Medicare-related deductions in January. Premiums are often adjusted at the start of the year, and those changes are reflected immediately in Social Security deposits. Your notice may explain why the deduction changed and how much is being withheld. Even if you cannot change the premium itself, knowing the exact amount helps you adjust your budget and avoid confusion when your deposit arrives. For some people, the notice also explains assistance programs that reduce premiums based on income. If your income has changed, this information becomes especially important. If the notice mentions income, resources, or living arrangements, pay close attention. These details matter greatly for SSI recipients and for those receiving additional assistance tied to income levels. The SSA uses reported information and data matches to calculate eligibility. If something listed in the notice is incorrect, such as income you no longer receive or a living situation that has changed, responding promptly can prevent reductions or suspensions. January reviews often rely on last year's information, and outdated data can lead to incorrect decisions. Timeframes are another critical part of any SSA notice. Many letters include a response deadline, even if it is not highlighted. Missing that deadline can limit your ability to appeal or request corrections. Seniors sometimes assume they can deal with the issue later, but once January payments are processed, reversing changes becomes more complicated. Responding within the stated time protects your rights and keeps options open. Even if you are unsure how to respond, acknowledging the notice and seeking clarification is better than doing nothing. Some notices explain overpayments or underpayments. If the SSA believes you were paid too much, it may plan to recover the money by reducing future payments. January is a common starting point for these recoveries. If you receive such a notice, understand that you may have options. The letter often explains how to request a review or ask for a different repayment arrangement. Acting quickly can prevent larger reductions and help spread repayment in a manageable way. If the notice explains an underpayment, it may also outline when and how the correction will be made, which can help with financial planning. Stimulus-related adjustments and credits can also appear in notices, even if the original programs ended long ago. Administrative reviews continue, and corrections sometimes happen at the start of a new year. If the SSA is finalizing records, the notice may explain how this affects your ongoing benefits. These details matter because they can influence taxable income, eligibility for assistance, or future payments. Reading and understanding this information helps avoid surprises later in the year. Another important step is keeping records. Save every SSA notice you receive, especially those related to January changes. These letters are official documents and can be useful if questions arise later. Having a clear paper trail helps resolve disputes and clarifies what the SSA communicated and when. Many seniors feel relieved simply knowing they have documentation to refer back to if something does not match their deposit. It is also wise to be cautious about misinformation. Friends, social media, and rumors often circulate at the start of the year, especially about payments, increases, and special checks. Your SSA notice is personalized and based on your specific situation. While general news can provide context, your letter is the most accurate source for what applies to you. Trusting it over hearsay helps prevent unnecessary worry or false expectations. If you truly do not understand what the notice means, seeking help is a responsible step. Many seniors hesitate because they fear making a mistake or being a burden. In reality, clarification prevents bigger problems later. Family members, trusted advisors, or authorized representatives can help review the letter and explain its meaning. Taking time to understand now protects your independence and financial stability throughout the year. January is a turning point in the benefit system. Payments, deductions, and eligibility rules reset or adjust, and the SSA uses notices to communicate those changes. Ignoring that communication leaves you reacting instead of preparing. When you read, understand, and respond to an SSA notice, you take control of the situation. You move from uncertainty to clarity, which is especially valuable in a time when every dollar counts. As we reach the end of this discussion, it is important to step back and understand why a single SSA notice can carry so much weight, especially at the start of the year. For many seniors, Social Security is not just one income source among many. It is the foundation that supports housing, food, healthcare, and basic independence. When January arrives, the system resets its calculations, and the information the SSA has on file becomes the blueprint for how your benefits will flow in the months ahead. That is why a notice arriving now deserves your full attention. January payments are built on decisions made before the deposit ever reaches your account. The SSA uses notices to explain those decisions in advance. If you understand what the letter says and why it was sent, you gain the ability to anticipate changes instead of being surprised by them. That sense of predictability matters. It allows you to plan your spending, manage your savings carefully, and avoid unnecessary anxiety. Seniors often describe financial stress as one of the most exhausting parts of aging, and much of that stress comes from uncertainty. Reading and responding to SSA notices reduces that uncertainty. Another important point to remember is that the SSA operates on documented information. If something in your record is incorrect, the system does not automatically know that unless you tell it. Notices are often the moment when the SSA reveals what it believes to be true about your income, household, or benefit status. Silence is usually interpreted as agreement. If the information is wrong and no response is received, the system moves forward as if the details are correct. That is how small errors turn into long-term problems. A few minutes spent reviewing a letter can prevent months of frustration later. Many seniors worry that responding to a notice will make things worse or trigger additional scrutiny. In reality, the opposite is usually true. Clear, timely responses help the SSA keep accurate records. When the system has correct information, payments tend to be smoother and more reliable. Problems arise most often when there are gaps, unanswered questions, or outdated details. January is the ideal time to clean up those issues because it sets a stable foundation for the rest of the year. It is also worth recognizing how interconnected benefits have become. Social Security does not exist in isolation. Information from SSA records influences Medicare premiums, eligibility for assistance programs, and even how certain benefits are taxed. A notice that seems to address only one issue may have ripple effects across multiple areas of your financial life. By understanding the notice fully, you protect not just one payment, but your broader support system. For seniors living on a fixed income, even small changes matter. A difference of a few dollars in deductions or a delay of one payment can disrupt carefully balanced budgets. That is why SSA notices often feel more urgent in January than at any other time of year. Heating costs are higher, medical expenses continue to rise, and many people are still recovering financially from the holiday season. Being caught off guard by a reduced or delayed payment during this period can be especially hard. The notice is your early warning system, giving you time to prepare or correct course. There is also an emotional side to this process that should not be overlooked. Official letters can feel intimidating, especially when they involve complex language or unfamiliar terms. It is natural to feel uneasy when reading about reviews, adjustments, or deductions. However, fear should not be the reason a notice goes unread. These letters are tools, not threats. They are meant to inform you, not confuse you. Taking the time to read them calmly, perhaps more than once, helps turn anxiety into understanding. Another key takeaway is the importance of staying organized. Keeping SSA notices together along with bank statements and related documents gives you a clear record of what has been communicated. This organization is empowering. If questions arise later, you have proof of what you were told and when. For seniors who prefer structure and clarity, this simple habit can make interactions with the system far less stressful. It is also important to remember that you are not alone in navigating these issues. Many people receive similar notices at the same time each year. While your situation is personal, the process itself is shared by millions. Understanding that can be reassuring. It reminds you that these adjustments are part of a broader system designed to adapt benefits to changing conditions. Your role is to make sure that the system has the correct information about you. As the year progresses, the choices you make now will continue to matter. Responding appropriately to an SSA notice can prevent payment interruptions, protect eligibility, and maintain peace of mind. Ignoring it, on the other hand, often leads to reactive problem solving later when options may be limited. January is about starting fresh, and that applies to benefits as much as anything else. In closing, remember this central message. If an SSA notice arrives this month, it is not just paperwork. It is a message that affects your January payment and often sets the tone for the entire year. By opening it promptly, reading it carefully, checking the details, and responding when necessary, you take an active role in protecting your financial stability. Social Security is meant to provide security, and that security is strongest when you stay informed and engaged. Paying attention now helps ensure that your benefits continue to support you reliably, month after month, throughout the year ahead.